Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Career Chat. I'm Krista Harmon, a workforce development consultant with the Kent ISD. I'm glad you're here today, and I'm especially glad to welcome Chanea Gilbert. She's a pharmacy technician. Welcome, Chanea.
Hi there. Thanks for having me.
So we love career chats to learn about people's stories and help young people understand it. It's a journey. Tell us about when you were 15 or 16, did you think you'd grow up to be a pharmacy tech? Tell us about your story.
Well, back when I was around 15 or 16, I actually wanted to get into law enforcement and I wanted to be a state trooper. However, I was moving a little fast and I did get pregnant and I had a baby at 16. So, with the help of my mom and my child's father, I was still eligible to graduate high school, but obviously we had to quickly get a job. I'm originally from Ben Harbor. So, we moved to Grand Rapids probably about almost 20 years ago. So I've waited tables pretty much from probably 17 till I was about 27, 28. And then I thought, okay, I'm getting older. I now have two children. So it's about time to kick it into high gear and get a career job versus a fast pace. And here I am.
Here you are. So you had a baby, and again, that doesn't mean education stops, and this is good for young people to hear because sometimes our lives take a twist and we don't plan for it. But when you were thinking about being a state trooper, what do you remember about why you wanted to be a state trooper? What do you remember at the time?
What I really thought about and liked about it, it was the way of protecting and serving a community, being able to help. When I was in grade school, we used to have a state trooper come to the school on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It was a part of the DARE program. Are you familiar with theirs? Like DARE to keep kids off of drugs.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that I was kind of always enthused about that and just kind of wanted to go that route to help and protect and serve the community.
Yeah, and the reason I'm asking that is because I figured there was a helping piece in there. And so we're gonna find that how that comes full circle. So,
yeah,
so you were waitressing tables, and that ain't no joke. That's hard work.
it is.
So what do you remember being kind of the thought process when you're around 28 years old, you've got a couple kids, and you're like, man, I want something different. So how did you even start to even know what a pharmacy tech was? Tell us about that thinking around that time of choosing, because you could have done anything. You could have gone into being a carpenter or, being a firefighter or a trooper at that point. So tell us what you were thinking.
Well, I knew I still always wanted to protect and serve and help the community. I was not in no shape or form to obviously do the physical aspect of being a state trooper. The nursing was just a bit too much schooling for me at the time, and I'm really not into CNA. So I thought, I'm going to check out the Farm Tech program. It was a program which is actually still here in Grand Rapids. Adult program is WMCAT. West Michigan Center for Arts and Technology, and it was tuition free. So I thought, well, if I do this, I can still protect and serve my community, but it'll be in a different way. And now as I'm older, I'm like, well, it's a more safer way as well. So it was a win-win.
It is a win-win. And we're going to definitely dig into your training for a minute, but that's a wonderful opportunity that you went to WMCAT, because a lot of young people don't know that that's even an option. They think that you have to get training out of college, for example, or there's so many ways to do it though. And I love that we're going to get a different way to get into an occupation, because not everyone has to go to a 4-year degree.
Yeah.
So how did you first hear about WMCAT's program? Do you remember?
I actually heard through a mutual friend. So when I was waiting tables, I was just talking to, how you have your regulars that we would say, and I was talking to them about it, and they told me they had a farm tech program at GRCC, and we needed $1,200 to start, and I think I roughly probably had about $500 or $600. So what my job was, we did a silent auction, and they helped raise the money. So I get the $1,200 for the GRCC program, but classes are filled. So I remember that morning just sitting at the table, feeling a little down, like, well, what am I going to do next? And a friend girl of mine's called me, and I was just telling her about it. And she said, hey, they got this WMCAT program. So I called them, but classes were filled also. So I got bummed out again. And not even 2 days later, it was Miss Siobhan. She was the WMCAT coordinator. She called me and said, hey, we had somebody that dropped out, if you're still interested. And it's been on ever since. And that was back in 2008, 2008, 9. Yeah, 2009.
I love it. Did you say some people in your life did a silent auction to help raise money for you to go to college?
Yeah, it was actually my where I waited tables at. They did a silent auction to help me raise the money.
What amazing community you have.
Yes, yes.
Well, note to self, everybody who's hearing that, when we all team together to help somebody take that next step, that's beautiful, Chanea. Wow. So yeah, so you had some little periods of bumness though, when you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not getting in. I think that's
Yeah.
real life. Could you share with young people kind of your strategy to get over that hump though? Like, how did you kind of keep your mindset positive?
I must admit I was kind of bummed out, but what I think about in my life by having a child at a young age, that I always try to be a step ahead of the game. So I'm always like a what if. So if this don't happen, then you got to have a plan B, which sometimes plan A, B, or C may not work, but just do not give up. Just stay focused and utilize your peers. A lot of people that I worked with at Old Chicago. I couldn't think of the name of the restaurant, but at Old Chicago, I worked with a lot of beautiful people, and they didn't really know me. I was new to the area, so just keep in mind, don't be afraid to share your story, ask for help, and it's a lot of kind people still out here in this world, and I just could not have done that without them. So don't give up, even if the road gets a little tough. It may not be easy, but there's definitely going to be light at the end.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I think something that comes up in career chats often is just, how networking is so important. It's who you know. Because
Yes.
even you hearing about the WIMCAT program was through, talking to somebody, like you said, and sharing your story. So I love that encouragement. So you get the call from WIMCAT that they have a spot. So what were your feelings like when you showed up on the first day? You hadn't been in school for a long time. Help normalize some of those feelings. Tell us what you're feeling so we can hear.
I was excited, anxious, and nervous. And I don't know if I can say this here, but I'm a prayer. But I also know you have to put work behind that prayer. So you just can't keep praying and praying. So, because they did say it was a small intake test. And I thought, well, what if they asked me the definition of this and that? But the perks of having a child at 16, by this time, my son was in junior high. So I was able to pick his brain. But still, I was anxious, excited, nervous. And then like, well, what if I fail? What if this happened? What if that happened? So I gave it, because I think she called me like on a Tuesday or Wednesday, and I had to be there that Monday morning. So I studied a little bit, prayed a little bit, went in there, and I said, Lord, you know what I need. If this is it, give it to me. And I went in there and I didn't know what was going on. And then she said, you passed. I was like, oh, okay, thank God. So it's like, because you're so nervous. And by this time I had 2 kids, and that was the last thing, because they know I'm taking the test. So especially my son, who helped me study for the test. Mom, how did you do? So I got all of that going in the back of my head. But yeah, I passed, and yeah, it was still tough, but that was the first part.
And I love the fact that you can be a role model to your child about persevering, right? So that's so
Thank
great.
you. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So pharmacy tech, just give us kind of a overview of what that is, and we're going to dig into some of your training, but some people might not know what a pharmacy tech is. So explain what that is.
Okay, a pharmacy tech works side by side with the pharmacist. We actually fill the prescription. So as far as reading the prescriptions, typing, if there's an error on the prescription that the doctor wrote, the pharmacy tech network with the doctor to get clarification on that. Doctors write for all sorts of script. A doctor would write for a wristband. Well, most insurance don't cover that. So we'll network with the patient and insurance, and letting the patient and doctor know. Some doctors write for brand name medications that's not covered on the insurance. So we network with the insurance on getting paid claim for the patient, or if not, getting an alternative drug to treat whatever the doctor may be treating, and just overall being there for the patient. I always like to tell our new technicians, nobody wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to the pharmacy. They have to come. So we want to give our all in all work right directly with the pharmacist, let the pharmacist keep counseling on the drugs, making sure the proper medication is going out, while we as technicians are assisting the community and helping the patients.
Yeah, so that customer service piece, again, is critical.
Yes, yes, it play a very big part. Yes.
So when you were in your training, how long was the pharmacy tech training that you took?
It was a 10-month program. It was accelerated. So we literally test like every week or so every 5 days or every 7 days, there was a small quiz and then at the end of the 6 weeks, it was a large test.
So again, I just want to point out to everybody, this is free at the West Michigan Center for Arts and Technology. So please keep that in mind. So
Yes.
you're plugging along, and what was that experience like? Because you're learning some terminology that obviously was pretty new to you, although you did have some moms, you know what some of those antibiotics and stuff are. You probably had
Yeah, that was all I knew. That was all I knew.
Yeah.
Um,
What was your strategy to learn some of that?
The strategy to learn that, what I would do is my kids and I would sit at the table and we would do homework together. And then everybody would put their graded papers on the refrigerator. So I had to do the Hall of Shame because the first test I got a D. And then my son was like, well, Mom, did you study? And I thought I did, but maybe not enough, because you can't just pray, you got to study too. So that was the strategy. It was kind of like our family time versus like cooking together or hanging out. Everybody will sit at the table, even though my daughter was probably in the first grade, but we would include her into, and we would just study and work together. Flashcards, because you do need to know the brand and generic. And even though we're pharmacy tech, we still need to know what the medication is being used for.
Yeah.
So just things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a lot of
And
learning.
lots of math.
Tell us about that, because something that a lot of people have some anxiety around that, and they might think, oh, I shouldn't do that because I'm not good at math, but help us understand the reality with that.
Well, the math is tough and you do learn a lot, but the way the systems are set up, and then even so, like if I get a prescription and I calculate it and the math is wrong, that is okay, because I have my pharmacist there to double check and oversee it. And what we have too here set up at Meyer, I don't know about other pharmacies, but we have a 2-part pharmacy check. So 2 pharmacists check my math before it even goes out. So not saying you don't have to learn it, but don't beat yourself up if you're not learning it as fast as others, because it will come. Because if you calculate it wrong, the pharmacist will send it back and say, well, hey, we need to do this, not just this should be 85, not 100. So it's a teaching method along the way.
That's good to know. It's important for people to know that they don't expect you to come in and be 100% knowledgeable, that there is a learning period. And I'm sure you've learned so much, and your math's getting better all the time with practice.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So you're in what's called a retail pharmacy, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
In a Meyer setting. And I guess I want to point, I'm not sure how much you know about it, but I've gotten to take students to a hospital pharmacy, for example. So pharmacy techs can be in a hospital, they can be in a store like Meyer. What is a typical day for you then as a retail pharmacy tech?
A typical day for me is definitely customer service first and foremost. A lot of assisting patients. Again, here at Meyer, we have a drive-through. I work here at the Plainfield Meyer location, so a lot of our patients are elderly, so we're pretty much not only filling prescriptions. So the day starts, we fill the prescription, we count it, we sell it out. A patient may have a question about an over-the-counter product. Even though the pharmacists do the counsel on that, I can still assist the patient by going over getting the Tylenol, or they look for just Tylenol, cough suppressants, and things like that.
Yeah, do you have a lot of paperwork? Are you working at a computer?
Yes. So let me see, how do I want to say it? So we do, it's not as much paperwork as it used to be, because we do a lot of work with the computers, but we do still get old-fashioned scripts where they drop them off. So we do still do, we have to type the prescription, pharmacists check it, and then we check the billing, make sure it's being billed correctly, and then we'll actually fill it. When I say fill it, meaning either pouring a liquid, getting the counting the tablets, eye drops or whatever. Then we get it to the pharmacist. That's the second check for the pharmacist. And then if the patient isn't waiting, which most people aren't hanging around the pharmacy, and then we have a place where we keep them alphabetical ties and also along with numeric, and have them waiting there for the patient. And when the patient comes, then we'll always go in by looking for the patient by date of birth. You know, and I like to use my name, for example, because Chanea starts with the C, but CH and SH make the same sound. So that will conclude from beginning to the end.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for fleshing that out for us. So when we think about what is your absolute favorite part and what is the part that's not so great about your job? What would you want young people to know on both ends?
My favorite absolutely part is I like to call myself a billing specialist. And a couple of my pharmacists has even got me a pen because billing to me, that's the most hardest part of the job, because anybody can type a prescription. Anybody can say 1 + 2 is 3. Anybody can pretty much bag it or label the bottle. But the most part is you want to make sure that you get not only the insurance to pay for it, but you want to get what's most beneficial for the patient. So my favorite part is billing the insurance, getting that paid claim. Or for example, last night, the insurance paid for 2 medications, but the most expensive ones they didn't. And I said, well, it's an over-the-counter product versus paying $80. We'll go over here and get this, and you can get this for 25. And that guy must have thanked me so many times. So that's my favorite part about, is just helping the patient get their medication in a timely manner and not costing them an arm and a leg, because a lot of these medications can be very expensive.
Yeah, some of that law enforcement trooper stuff, like you said.
Yeah.
Hero, right? Just
yeah. In my own little way, yeah.
Absolutely. So what's the part that's kind of frustrating for you that you don't like so much about your job?
I would say what I don't like so much about it, and that kind of play with the billing as well. It's like, I would think that the doctor office and the pharmacy should network more together. Because patients just don't understand. A doctor write for a Band-Aid and they will bring the prescription to the pharmacy. And then when we like, oh, well, that's an over-the-counter product, insurance don't cover it. Then they get a little angry and they don't understand that the insurance don't cover it. And the doctor truly really can write for everything. So I would think that's what I don't like about having to be the bearer of bad news, and or also calling the doctors and they just not willing to network with us, because I like to think of it as that we're on the same team. We're networking together to get the patient the best care and get them taken care of. But sometimes they kind of pull away and kind of leave you hanging. So that's when I really have to get my pharmacist involved in. But we're getting there.
Yeah, that communication piece sounds like it can be frustrating.
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes people have certain ideas of what it's like to be a pharmacy tech, what they see maybe when they pick up their own medications. But what are some of the myths, or what are some of the things you think people might misunderstand about your job that you'd want them to know about?
I think a lot of people misunderstand, like it's a hard job, and it's what I want to say. A lot of people think it's a hard job, and like I said, you got to know the mathing. You'll learn every day. So as long as you go in there willing and ready to learn, but it's not as bad as you would think. We have pharmacists, also technicians, lead techs like myself. We work side by side. So yeah, and you don't have to have experience. A lot of pharmacies have on the job experience. You'll work one-on-one with technicians. We have pharmacists there to help you, and then we can also get you licensed up. So don't be afraid to go in, as long as you know how to do basic math and read and write. That's definitely a win-win. We'll help you along the way.
And that's great, because I did want to step into that. So you graduate from this WIMCAT program, and I know young people always want, like, how did you get that first job? Did you have an internship there, or did you apply through Indeed? How did you even get that first job? And was Meijer your first job? Maybe there was a step in between.
Meijer was my first job. So I had an internship, but it was through Walgreens. And that was my first time stepping inside of the pharmacy at Walgreens. And they run like a tight ship. So they only had the pharmacist and then 2 technicians. Well, they had already been there for 15 years. So of course they wasn't going anywhere. So I did the retail, but the pharmacist wrote me a, not a cover letter, he got me a recommendation letter. So he got that. And back then, Indeed was not a thing. So I'm literally filling out hand applications, taking it to spots. And I remember I filled out at Walmart, a couple hospital settings, and Myers. And probably within 3 weeks, the pharmacy manager called me and I got the job, and I really liked it. I already had great customer service, through waiting tables and just able to give back to the community. And once I got in that pharmacy, probably about after being there for 6 weeks, I thought I'm going to give this my all. If there's anything a technician can do, I want to do it and just continue to grow and learn with the company. And 14 years later, I'm still here.
14 years, that's fantastic. And you mentioned that you were a lead tech. So help us understand, and say someone asked a question through the chat for me, just to clarify, when you see a posting, like sometimes they'll say we're hiring, you don't have to have that formal pharmacy tech certification to get your foot in the door, right?
Correct.
They're going to do some on-the-job training and teach you and help you get to a license. So
yes,
give us any scoop that a young person who's thinking this could be for me, what would those next steps be?
So you'll obviously go ahead and apply. And then when I say we do all of the on-the-job training, we have, oh Lord, what is it? Not PTCB. Well, Meyer network with a company, so we'll get you licensed where we have our own curriculum. So you'll get special hours to do that with Meyer. Obviously, we'll pay for that. But then also we'll walk you through each step hand on hand, showing you how to even answer the phone, take a prescription over the phone, read a prescription. So again, just because you've never been inside of any medical setting, it doesn't matter. We're here to show you. And then also the program that we have set in place also helps you read the prescription. Also, it has math and things like that. And we work together to make sure. So we're not just going to get you in here and teach you how to read a prescription. We're also going to teach you the backside on how to get licensed, and Meyer pay for the license and to get you ready to become a level 2. Because when you start, you'll start in as a level 1 technician. And then once you get licensed, you become a level 2, and then we'll move you up on. But after you become a level 2, I think you have 12 months to pass that test and you'll be a level 2. So that's the only time straight. After that, you move up according to your pace. And I'm quite sure if something happens and you're off work for a while and it might take you 14 months, I'm quite sure that we can network with our managers, to get going to that next step. So still, by all means, don't feel pressure with, oh, I got 12 months and I got to do that. There's always a gray area. Again, here at Meyer Pharmacy, I'm not sure what, the other chains are doing.
Yeah, no, that's great. And then did you find yourself wanting to be promoted? Like, how did you end up being in lead? Is that something you professionally sought out?
Oh, yes. Like I say, after 6 months being on the job, I was so eager to learn. Again, I said, if anything a technician can do, I want to do. I've been wanting to give somebody a vaccine for years. And when the pandemic hit, they rolled out and it's like, oh, well, you can be a certified tech and you can give vaccines. And I'm like, really? I've been waiting to do this for years. So I knew, and a lot of my coworkers tease me because I work a lot, but I absolutely love my job. I'm here on time. I'm willing and ready to work and just take it to the next level.
Yeah, it seems like you have a really good attitude. I'm sure your bosses love that about you.
Thank you.
So we have a few minutes left still, so we don't have to rush, but I'm wondering what kind of qualifications or just even natural personality, obviously a good memory at some level is important. So what are some things that you notice about your colleagues or yourself that make a good pharmacy tech?
I would say here at this location, for one, we like to call it family. So we work together as a team. I've been doing this for so long, but I'm human, so I might forget to twist the cap on all the way. So my colleagues will pick it up and say, well, hey, let me tighten that up for you. Or if you drop something, they'll, pick it up. it's a tight-knit family. We're most of the time we're here 40 hours or more. So you probably hear more than with your family at home, because by the time you cook and clean, it's time to lay down. So I think that we work together good as a team, and it's just we have a great pharmacist. I like to say the pharmacist set the tone, because I've worked at quite a few Myers, and I also go other places that they need help. So first and foremost, a good pharmacist set the tone.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm wondering, when I go to my Meyer pharmacy, it's busy. So how do you
Yeah.
handle kind of that stress? Like, I'm sure there's stress in your job.
It is. I this weird thing in my head back when we rolled out the COVID vaccines here, and everybody was just going all around, and they like, how do you do it? And so even like now when I work out in the morning, I listen to my little rap music. So when we go to getting busy, I just get going, and my little song in my head, and we're just moving around, and we're checking them in, because we had lines, people lined up out the door for those vaccines, and some people will get angry, and I would simply look and smile. It's like, I'm sorry, I'll get you right in. And it has times where I have that angry patient, I might have to sneak them in front of somebody without them knowing, but obviously I'll run it by my pharmacist, and they'll say, go ahead. Yeah, not to toot my own horn. I just absolutely love my job. And I do have rough days. I've been called, a few things, but for the most part of it, I just laugh it off and keep going, because people have bad days. And again, I always say, nobody wakes up and say, I'm just going to go to the pharmacy. They're here because they have to be. So I think that's a part too that keeps me thinking, what is it that I can do to ease the situation? Because they don't want to be here. They would so rather be anywhere but the pharmacy.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I want to just point out for young people that are watching this about the transferable skills, we call them. As a waitress, you were doing a lot of customer service, you were problem solving when you had an angry customer or whatever. That's the kind of stuff that employers are looking for. So any job you do as a young person, you're gaining skills. There's nothing to waste. My first job was McDonald's, right? I learned so many customer service skills. So I just wanted to point that out, that helps you get your foot in the door again when they're looking at your resume. It's like, wow, she's done customer service for this many years. Is there any just stories about patients that you're like, oh, this is why I do what I do? Does any one of your experiences stand out to you?
I would say, yeah, few. Well, my years and days run together because I work so much. But back when I worked at our Meyer hospital, Meyer pharmacy inside of the hospital, it was an elderly couple that was taking care of a special needs child. And again, I worked 2 days with the doctor, the nurse, and insurance to get the medication covered. And not only was it covered, it was a $0 because it was one of those expensive. I mean, you'd be surprised how expensive this medication gets. So I remember just networking with them, and it was around the holiday, and I just normally thinking I'm just normally doing my job. But a couple days later, when it was a special delivery for me, a box of chocolate, and it was around the holidays. So I think it was like the poinsettias or whatever it was. I was really excited. And I think, as a matter of fact, I know from that point on, I've always loved my job, but that took me to the next level, because I had no idea that what they were going through. I was just thought I was doing my job, but it was nice to get a little appreciation.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I just, I think a lot of people, even some of the comments, your great energy and attitude is really shining through this career chat today. And
Oh, thank you.
encouragement to young people that are watching it, because that's so much of it, right? Is to take care of yourself, take care of your coworkers, to take care of your
Yes.
patients. So with our 1 minute left, it always goes so fast, Chanea.
Yes.
What would that final word of wisdom be for young people who might be exploring and not really sure what they want to do?
I would say never give up on your dream. Do not let anybody dictate your time. I actually saw this quote on Instagram last night. Don't worry about, oh, I should do this or I should have done that. Everybody move at their own time. Never give up. If it don't work, keep trying, because you can keep trying many times, but if you give up, it's not there. So just keep trying. It's there. And don't be afraid to ask for help.
Put that on a bumper sticker.
Yes.
Well, you've been an amazing role model today, Chanea. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Time. I'm gonna turn off the recording now.
Thanks.